So we've just had the single biggest update to Warzone TTKs since the game's launch. The health is now from 250 to 300 HP. And in this video, we'll be going over what are the best weapons to use inside Warzone at the moment. And we're going to be putting them into this tier list you can see on screen. If you do enjoy content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 50k subscribers. Click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel as well. We do post extra content over there. But as you can see here, we have all the weapons. They're all fully updated with all the new weapons. So the Vargo, the Armageddon, we've got all the new weapons in here. We are excluding special weapons, melee weapons, launchers, things like that. So just keep that in mind. We're not talking about any of those guns. It's just the main primary weapons everyone wants to use. On top of that, we're going to be mainly focusing on things like TTKs, recoil control, and I'm not really going to give too much of an explanation for all these guns because there's over 100 weapons here. We need to get through every single one of them, so I'm going to fire through them really quickly just so you know exactly what guns you should be using and kind of where they fit in the meta of the game. So let's start off with the Cold War AK. It's definitely a solid gun to use. Long range, close range, sniper support's pretty good too. Definitely a meta weapon in my opinion. So Cold War AK is definitely up there. Modern Warfare AK, in my opinion, is top tier upper. It's actually got one of the fastest TTKs at long range. So if you do want to use an AK, I think the Modern Warfare AK is actually a pretty solid weapon now as well. Both of the AKs are really good. AMAX is a meta weapon right now. We've already made a video explaining why, going over the TTK numbers and the fact that it's got a low recoil. AN94, in my opinion, is top tier lower. It's just not as good as some of the other full auto options that we do have. AS-Val is top tier lower as well. The magazine capacity is just way too small on this gun. Now it is pretty good for solos, and the TTK is still really good on the gun itself, but there is better sniper support options than the AS-Val in my opinion. AUG is usable. Burstfire weapons are not really that popular at the moment, plus it's not really that solid a weapon, so I wouldn't really be using any burstfire weapons. FAL is a semi-automatic gun, so again I wouldn't really be using any semi-automatic weapons at the moment because they're not that great. But again, it's unusable for now because you can still use them and do okay. Fara is probably the meta weapon in the game right now for long range. Bullet velocity is great, TTK is great, recoil control is great. FFAR is top tier upper as a sniper support weapon. That's the only way you can build it and the only way you can use it. The only issue is the ADS is a little too slow in my opinion. FR556 is trash. Grau is top tier uppers, low recoil, only 2 damage drop-offs. Groza, in my opinion, is top tier lower, even though I would like to say it's another good solid sniper support option along with the FFAR. It does have a little bit faster ADS, which is a good bonus. Iron sights are about the same, and movement's about the same-ish, but I do still think the FFAR is a slightly better weapon. Kilo, in my opinion, is going to be in usable or top tier lower. The reason why it's in top tier lower is because it has a 3rd damage drop off point, and if you're at those extremely long ranges, this gun's going to feel like marshmallows, and the Krig is going to be put in the same category for the same reason. Even though they're both really easy to use, that 3rd damage drop off just makes it very hard to kind of recommend these guns. M13 is a little bit better in my opinion. It only has 2 damage drop offs, it's super low recoil, is more of a consistent kind of weapon and more to do with consistency, so that is why I think the M13 is a little bit higher up. Then we've got the M16 is usable again, it's a burstfire weapon. M4A1 top tier upper, kind of always has been in this kind of category anyway. Odin, in my opinion, is top tier lower. The only issue with this gun is that the rate of fire is just way too slow, but you can use it at long range because it is a solid weapon. And it does have a pretty good TTK. It actually has one of the best TTKs for assault rifles, but the fire rate is just way too slow, so just keep that in mind when using this gun. QBZ, in my opinion, is a meta weapon. I just don't know why no one's using this right now. It's got super low recoil, it's got some of the best TTKs in the game now. Overall, it's just a solid gun. Ram 7, top tier upper. Definitely a solid weapon to use. Bullet velocity is pretty solid on it as well. You just need to learn how to control the recoil. When it comes to the Scar, it's going to be in top tier lower for the same reasons as the Odin. It also has a really small mag. Now, if it had a bigger mag, it probably could be higher up on the list because the TTK is pretty solid on the Scar. But overall, it's just a slow fire rate gun. No one really uses those kind of weapons, to be honest. XM4, in my opinion, is top tier upper. It's no longer meta. I feel like after they kind of nerfed that neck multiplier, it kind of made this gun not as viable as it was before. Still solid though, it's got low recoil, so I mean, you can't really complain too much. MP5 from Cold War, I mean, it's not really that good of an SMG anymore, if I'm being perfectly honest. It's top tier lower, in my opinion. It's just not that good. P90 is usable, but again, it's not an SMG I'll be picking up myself personally. Bison is usable again because it's fully automatic, but just again, not an SMG we're picking up. ISO, I never thought I'd do this, but the ISO is actually a top tier lore gun. TTKs are actually okay on the ISO. MP7 is top tier lore as well. It could be top tier upper. But again, it's just not a gun that I feel like I would want to pick up if I had other options. Striker is usable because it's fully automatic. I mean, it's not really that great, but it's still usable. Phoenix, definitely top tier lore. It's got the TTK there, but now that the TTK overall with the damage and HP has been increased, the mag size on it does let it down a bit, so that is why I'm not going to put it higher up on the list. Modern Warfare MP5 is definitely a top tier upper SMG in my opinion. Definitely one of the solid options at the moment, because you do get the TTK potential still with this gun, so overall it's easy to use as well. So 80 rounds on the Uzi, that's what we're mainly focusing on here. Again, I'd probably put it top tier upper because it's actually got one of the better TTKs out of SMGs. It's just overall not one of the kind of easier to control SMGs. Modern Warfare AUG, I do think it's actually a meta gun, to be honest. TTK on this gun's absolutely ridiculous, and even through all of the kind of HP changes and stuff, it's still a solid weapon to use. DMR is usable, you can use it, and it's just a semi-automatic gun, to be honest. I don't really think is all that great. Type, whatever this one is, Type 99, I can't remember what it's called. It's just a trash version of the DMR, so it's kind of pointless using it. KSP is trash, why would you want a burstfire SMG? Milano, in my opinion, is top tier lower as well. Definitely a solid SMG. You can actually use it as more of a sniper support, or you can even use it as an assault rifle if you wanted to. Long range SMG, good movement speeds and stuff, so definitely a solid gun. Would recommend using it. If you haven't tried it out recently, it's actually a pretty good gun. LC10, again, top tier lower. The headshot multiplier on this gun is pretty solid, so I mean, it's not probably as good as the Milano in my opinion, but definitely a good SMG overall. Cold War, PPSH, meta weapon 100%, probably the best sniper support in the entire game right now. TTKs are very good as well for this gun, bullet velocity, all that kind of stuff. We've got the Mac 10, again, I think the Mac 10's top tier upper. Next up, we've got the Bullfrog, and I think the Bullfrog is a solid gun as well, but it's top tier lower in my opinion. Definitely top tier lower. AK-74U is actually top tier upper. The close range TTK on this gun is pretty solid, and at long range it's okay too, and it's only got 2 damage drop off points, so it's actually pretty solid sniper support. I'd kind of put it in the same category as that Cold War PPSH, but I do think the PPSH is a little bit better. Origin Shotgun is usable. Street Sweeper Shotgun is top tier, maybe lower. Gallo Shotgun's top tier lower. Howard Shotgun is usable. R90 Shotgun's usable. Model Shotgun's trash. VLK Rogue is top tier lower. This is the Jack 12 Shotgun, top tier lower. The 725's trash. The M60 or whatever this is called, LMG, just trash, man. The movement is just terrible on this gun. RPD is definitely a top tier lower gun. TTK is okay, recoil is pretty low. It's pretty much got the same TTK at long range as the Bren, but the recoil is not quite as low as the Bren, so that's why it has to be in top tier lower. Stoner, again, top tier lower. Similar TTKs, but the recoil is a little bit higher. Holger is usable because it's a full auto gun, but I mean, it's still not something I would totally recommend. MG34 is just not very good. You could use it for close range, but there's probably way better options. SA87 is usable as well, so I mean, you can use it, but again, I wouldn't really recommend it too much. PKM, definitely a meta LMG. If you do want to use any LMG, the PKM is absolutely solid. M91, in my opinion, is a solid LMG as well. I think it's a meta weapon right now that people are actually sleeping on when it comes to LMGs overall. It's super low recoil. It's got one of the fastest TTKs for any LMG in this game. Bruin as well, solid. I would put the Bruin up there as well with meta weapons. I think the Bruin is also a super low recoil, fast TTK LMG. The Finn LMG is top tier lower, in my opinion. If you build it with the adverse barrel, you will get a fast TTK. The recoil is just a bit harder to manage. Tundra Sniper, in my opinion, is top tier lower. It's a good sniper, good bullet velocity. If you do equip the airborne elastic now, you do get better flinch resistance, so definitely a solid option. You can use it 100%. M82, we've already made a full video going over the best sniper rifles when it comes to semi-auto, and this is actually one of the better ones. So I do actually think it's a solid sniper rifle in this game. It's got really good bullet velocity and really good damage drop-offs as well. So if you want to try something different out, then the M82 Sniper is actually solid. Pellington I actually think will actually become one of the more top tier upper weapons. With that airborne elastic, it actually fits into the same category now as the Swiss and the Kar 98K. When we've got the AX50, top tier lower in my opinion, definitely still a solid sniper. Dragunov Sniper is trash, let's be honest. Rytek's trash. HDR in my opinion is top tier upper. Then we've got some of the pistols, which most of them are just kind of trash, to be honest. This is the Magnum from Cold War, which is kind of trash as well. Daimati pistols, definitely top tier upper. R1 Shadowhunter crossbow, in my opinion, it is usable because it's a one shot now. Is this the 1911? What is this? This is the M19, sorry. So this is kind of trash now. Renetti pistol's a trash gun. X90 trash. Snake shot pistols are usable. Psychov pistols are definitely top tier upper as well if you do want to use a bigger mag version of the AMPs. Deagle pistols trash. Other pistols trash. Next we've got the SKS, and the SKS is a trash weapon. I wouldn't really use that. Other crossbow is the same as the Shadowhunter crossbow, is usable. EBR is also trash. Not Cooper Carbine. The Carbine Marksman rifle's trash. I think this is the Modern Warfare Kar 98, which is absolutely a meta sniper, obviously. If you do use now the focus perk, that is probably the best way to run the Kar 98. The rest of the build stays the same. SPR, in my opinion, is also a meta sniper rifle. People are sleeping on the SPR, in my opinion. Swiss is also now meta too, because the Swiss did get that buff. So if you do use the airborne elastic, you will get good flinch resistance on this gun as well. Then we've got the ZRG. Again, I do think it's a meta sniper. It's got the best bullet velocities in the game, so solid option for a sniper rifle. Carve, yeah, I think this is the Carve. Usable burst fire weapon again. AMP is definitely top tier upper once again. Fully automatic secondary. C58 is an absolute meta weapon. This gun is super low recoil, good TTKs at every range, and just overall just a really solid weapon. I think it's the most balanced rifle in the game at the moment if you want to try something different. M82 Lmg, I definitely think this is top tier upper if you want to use it. If you could control the recoil, it's actually got one of the fastest TTKs in the game, so if you want to make a long range build out of this and try and learn the recoil, it is actually manageable, so you can give that a go. The nail gun is kind of okay and it's usable, but the mag size just kind of lets it fall short a little bit. EM2, in my opinion, is just top tier lower now. The TTK on this gun is pretty good, but the issue with it is just it fires a little bit too slow, the recoil is a bit too hard to manage, and other guns kill faster, so it's kind of pointless. Tech 9, in my opinion, again, I think it is kind of between top tier lower and top tier upper. It is a solid gun for SMGs, but I would pick these SMGs above it pretty much every time. OTS is now definitely a meta SMG in my opinion. So if you do want an SMG that is absolutely solid, that's not a vanguard one, OTS is absolutely solid in this game. CX9, in my opinion, is top tier lower. Definitely a good SMG. The Grav, in my opinion, is top tier lower as well. It's got good TTK numbers, so if you do want to learn something that's got good TTK and try and control the recoil, the Grav's an absolutely solid weapon. I'd actually put it in top tier upper. It's that good. The Ironhide shotgun is kind of trash. The Marshall shotgun is or kind of top tier lower in my opinion. The RAL LMG is top tier lower. Then we've got the Vanguard snipers, and I think this is the 3-line rifle, and in my opinion 3-line is top tier lower. It's not one of the best snipers in the game. We've got the anti-tank rifle, and I just think it's not really usable in my opinion, even for a semi-automatic rifle. It isn't great. AS44 is definitely meta, and that's just because the TTKs are absolutely insane. So if you do build it as an SMG or sniper support, you're going to get a solid gun out of that. Automaton, in my opinion, it's kind of maybe top tier upper just because it's super low recoil, and that's kind of the only reason it's in there. Bar, again, in my opinion, is top tier lower for the same reasons as something like the Odin. It's super slow fire rate, but the TTKs are not too bad. But once you get to like kind of further ranges, the TTKs are just a bit too slow in my opinion. The Bren is definitely still a meta weapon. I can't believe they still haven't nerfed this gun yet. But it's just super low recoil. Even though the TTK isn't the best, just because you're going to be landing absolutely every single shot, it's still a solid weapon to use. So Bren is definitely still up there. Itra Burst is definitely a usable gun, but again, it's a burst fire weapon. Then we've got another shotgun. I can't remember what this one is. Cooper Carbine is definitely top tier upper, super low recoil option, similar to the Automaton. So definitely a good gun, not one of the best rifles. DP27, again, I do think is a solid gun. And I actually think it's top tier upper when it comes to LMGs overall. Double barrel shotgun is trash. The SVT is trash because it uses sniper ammo, so it's kind of no point even touching the Vanguard marksman rifles because they all use sniper ammo. We've got the Gracie Auto shotgun, which is probably usable. We've got the Carnate 8K from Vanguard, which I do think is actually a top tier upper sniper. Not as good as the Modern Warfare car, but definitely still solid. They have been trying to buff this weapon overall. Then we've got the M1 Grand, again trash, it uses sniper ammo. Then we've got the M82 or M84 or something like that. I do think this is top tier lore. This is the Vanguard LMG, definitely a solid gun, super low recoil. MP40 I do still think is a meta SMG, and the reason for that is because it's super low recoil and you're going to be pretty much landing every single shot with this gun. So overall you can still use it as a sniper support if you really wanted to as well. NZ41 is usable, it's not great though. Owen gun is absolutely probably the meta SMG in the game right now. TTKs are absolutely insane with the Owen gun, and the only issue with it is the mag, but there's ways around that too. PPSH from Vanguard, definitely a meta SMG as well. If you want that SMG hipfire build, then the Vanguard PPSH is the best gun to do it with because your hipfire is going to be super accurate. Ironhorn revolving shotgun is usable. Sten, I definitely think is a meta SMG right now, especially with the magazine buff and the fact that it's one of the fastest TTK guns in the game. I do still think it's a solid option, plus you get the gung ho perk on it as well. Then we do have the STG, and I do think the STG is kind of like top tier upper when it comes to assault rifles. It's solid kind of overall, but isn't really one of the best rifles in the game. Then we've got the G58. Again, it's trash. It uses sniper ammo, so it's pointless. The Tommy gun, I do think is now kind of just top tier lore or usable. It's not one of the best SMGs in the game, and I wouldn't really choose it. Type 11 LMG, in my opinion, is top tier lore. It's super low recoil. The damage doesn't drop off, but the damage isn't that great to begin with, so just definitely keep that in mind when using this gun. It is an okay gun to use. Then we've got the last Vanguard sniper, which is going to go in top tier lore as well. Type 100 SMG is definitely top tier upper. I don't think it's as good as some of the other SMGs that we could use here, like the Sten or the Owen gun, but it's definitely a solid gun. TTKs are not too bad, but overall the movement stuff's not too great with that one. The Volk, I do think, is actually top tier upper as a sniper support. If you do use it in that kind of close range, it's definitely a solid weapon to use overall, plus it's super low recoil on top of that. Then we've got some more semi-automatic pistols, which are not really all that great, let's be perfectly honest. Top breaks, if you run them as shotgun pistols, then they are top tier lore in my opinion. The machine pistol from Vanguard is top tier lore as well. You can use it, but isn't as good as the Cold War pistols. 1911s are trash as well. Lapa SMG is definitely top tier upper still. If you do use that 50 round mag, you will get a solid SMG with the Lapa. I just don't think it's as good as some of the ones higher up on the list. Then we've got the KGM40. TTK on this gun is just way too slow, so it's going to go in top tier lore here. Whalegun is still a meta SMG in my opinion. Now, even though it did get a bit of a nerf with its magazine and all that kind of stuff, if you use the 64 round mags, the recoil, they didn't increase too much. And they only nerfed the 40 round mags anyway, so you can use the 64 round mags. It will be a little bit slower when it comes to ADS, but overall the gun's still really solid to use. When it comes to the Whitley LMG, the Whitley LMG in my opinion is top tier lore as well. Wasn't one of the better guns that got added into the game. Armageddon, in my opinion, I don't think is meta, but I definitely think it's top tier upper as a sniper support or an SMG. Definitely is a solid weapon overall, but not meta for sure. Then we've got the Vargo, and the Vargo again I think is top tier upper now. Now I think it would have been meta if they didn't nerf it, but now that they have nerfed it, you can actually tell that it does take a little bit longer to get your kills with a Vargo assault rifle. So there we have it. Those are all of the weapons that I would recommend inside Warzone. So if we're looking at the best guns to use, it's going to be something either from the meta category or the top tier upper category. Now if you do want to try other different things, and you can get into this top tier lore, but where I'd recommend picking your guns from is this category right here between meta and top tier upper. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 50k subscribers. Click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel, and thank you very much for watching.